switch this over. I will boot up my stream.
They can hear us now. They can see us. Hello.
Okay.
Hopefully they can see us. Oh,
I'm
you know what I
starting
forgot to
mine.
do?
What?
I forgot to turn on my light. Not that it matters all that much.
Yeah, but you look less angelic right now.
Whoa. I mean, I paid.
And really, that's the point of having the light.
I paid $50 for it. I might as well use it, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, mine is up.
Both our streams seem to be working.
And I think how I want to do this. Can I pop out the chat without it bugging out this time?
Oh, does Kick's chat have a problem?
Well, like, there's times where, like, if I do the pop-out chat, it doesn't display right. Or, like, it will just stop auto-scrolling.
I wish I could get, because Restream has, like, a chat function. And I could technically watch that, but I can't respond in that for some reason.
Okay.
So I keep the individuals open just in case.
Right on.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay. Just testing out chat. Make sure we're still good, guys.
Chat.
Looks like we're good.
Chitty
What's up, Elena? Hey, Jess. Good to see you guys. We'll get going here in a sec.
Yay.
All right. We are live in all the places.
All the places.
Yeah, YouTube, Twitch, Kick.
TikTok, Billy.
Yeah, we're going for that weeb market.
Crunchyroll, Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus. Not Amazon Prime though.
Not. No, we'll get there one day.
One day.
Oh, yep, absolutely. All right, let me just move my phone and we'll be good.
Alrighty.
I think I got my backup going already. If not, I will restart. Yeah, I don't want to just have like 5 minutes of dead audio. All right, you good?
I'm good. Let's go.
As the dogs are barking?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear them, but they definitely are barking.
I cannot.
Well, I can. Chat just can't. But anyways. What's up, nerds, and welcome back to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all things Overwatch 2 and competitive Overwatch. I'm your host, Emily Drunk, and this is episode 255. We have quite a bit to go over tonight. A lot of exciting stuff going on, because today was opening day for the Overwatch League, and Spyder, I'm sure you probably caught more than I did. These 2 p.m. Central starts are definitely something like, it's like, man, I'm working until 4. By the time I get home, the first match is already over with, and depending on, like how one-sided the games are, there's a good chance I'll probably miss a map or a second map out of the second one. And at that point, it's just like, well, that's already kind of half of the day at that point in time. So it's just like, it's really hard because, like, on top of that, obviously, I've been streaming on Kick. I've been closely following some of my favorite streamers, one of which who's in the chat right now. Little Lena is in here. And, my, like, Major Look, one of our listeners, has always been over there, too. So it's just like, I've been trying to find the balancing act between getting the streams going, supporting my friends, and also finding time for the Overwatch League right now, which, again, we're on the 4-day schedule, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for the league. And if I'm already missing, like, half of the stuff to begin with because of my work schedule, and it's not like I'm going to change it to work 6 to 2, because screw doing that. I don't get enough sleep as it is already.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm finding myself in a position where, sure, we're not going as deep into the coverage as we were. Like, we're not going to be doing the weekly recordings for, both podcasts. We're just kind of sticking to the bi-weekly for H&D. And, we're going to have to adjust the way that we actually cover with Overwatch League because of that. So we're going to be changing things up a little bit, maybe experimenting a bit. But if anyone has any suggestions on how you want us to tackle league coverage this year, please just write to us, whether it's over on the Discord, you can reach us on Twitter, email, whatever you want to do on that front. But obviously, very exciting time right now with the Overwatch League being back. We got to see the new desk. We got our
Mm-hmm.
answer in regards to like, hey, where are we streaming? We are back on YouTube
YouTube, yep.
for the Overwatch League, which is no surprise. There were definitely some comments from Uber in regards
Yeah.
to Twitch, which was pretty spicy, which we'll probably touch up on in a bit. But I just have to ask Spider, it's been a couple of weeks. How you been doing? How are the games going? All that good stuff.
Pretty good. I took my first vacation in 4 years last week. Um,
Oh yeah.
to the beach. We went to Virginia Beach. It was really fun, but it taught us many lessons when going to the beach with three children instead of two. It is a different monstrosity. And somebody posted a meme in like one of my wife's parents' channels, which is basically like parents don't go on vacation; they just take their kids to a different city, and that resonated with us quite well. So it was fun, but before we went, I made the joke like we're gonna need like a husband wife only vacation after our vacation, and we were like haha, it won't be that bad. And then like literally the day we got back, because we came back like midday, we got back at like 4 o'clock, we had her mom come over and watch the kids, and we literally just went out and got like I forget, it was like shit food, like Burger King or something, and just like sat in the car and like, oh. So um that it was fun though. So I didn't get to play a whole lot last week. I did like all that Lifeweaver stuff, and then I just like dropped it and left. So then we did come back last Friday, so I did play over the weekend. I have played this pretty much every day this week. I played enough Lifeweaver before the patch on Tuesday that when they put the patch in Tuesday, I hated it because I was like, I kept trying to do stuff with muscle memory, and it had already like thrown me off that much. But I'm a little more used to it now. I'm still not quite there because as you saw tonight, like when you do like flex queue, you actually get a good amount of roles now. Like you're not in support jail the whole time. It's for me, it's been like 50-50 support and DPS. And then I'd say like 30-30-30. I guess it is fairly even, I guess, but I have been getting a little less tank. Probably just because there is one of them instead of, two. But
Two.
I,
Mhm.
the game feels really good right now. Like I feel like almost anything is viable. Like even at our level, nothing is like a huge throw pick. Like even tonight, like I was memeing on Symmetra, and I felt like we were doing pretty well. I played Junker Queen, and we were doing. Oh, we did rough at the beginning.
Mhm.
Well, we did okay at the beginning. The middle was rough, and then the end was going great until we C9'd. Um, like it's definitely like probably the worst C9 I've ever had. It's just I don't have that game sense to be like, oh, maybe I should pay attention to the payload as I'm defending it. But no, they definitely back captain us. But then we made the team do that on the next round. We made them just not pay attention to the cart long enough that the round ended on Numbani. So we'll
Mhm.
take that trade. But the game feels really good right now. Like I have outside of the normal Overwatch frustrations of the rolls and occasionally you get like that Genji one trick that just comes into your game and dominates. The actual like matches feel fairly good in quick play. So I haven't done like the streamer rounds yet. Like that's the one thing normally during like work I watch streamers and stuff, and I kind of get the feel for that. But I don't know how streamers are feeling right now. Like I've watched some Siegel. Like I watched some Siegel when I was on vacation. Like his YouTube videos, just like in the like 10 minutes of downtime that I got at night before I passed out. And he just plays whatever anyway, so he's not like a good gauge. But it's pretty good. I mean, we'll see over the coming weeks, because I am gonna try to push some titles this time. So I'm gonna play later into the season because what I had been doing in seasons 1 through 3 is like really going hard in the paint till I got level 80, and then like I would slack off. So this time I'm gonna play a little more consistently to see how the meta evolves, and then come back on that. I do with Overwatch League coming back. I don't know if I'll start it next week because I have something planned next Thursday that I don't know if I'll be back in time for. Um, but maybe on like the off weeks I'll do like how I did like the Lover Watch show and the patch reaction show. Maybe I'll just do like a quick recap or something of like this is what happened last week. Here's the games coming up. Keep an eye on Kevster and Proper. That's probably what I'll say every week. So, but yeah, I mean it's opening day. We've got plenty to talk about. So, um, let's finish a show before Ramses gets on. So then when he gets on, we're like,
You would
we're
just
all
speed
done.
run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, be like, well, I don't, he's got like half an hour. But
Yeah, I
anyways, I
know.
do want to thank Wood for subscribing to the Kick channel. Thank you so much. It's one of my boys right there. I totally forgot I had alerts on at the time. So when it sounded, I was like, wait, what? Like, what's happening?
Oh, what the fuck
And
is
I'm
that?
looking over and I see that. Uh, but yeah. So, obviously, you and I hopped on for like an hour or so, before we started the podcast tonight. And, I have to say, like, obviously, like my time played right now in Overwatch 2 isn't quite what I want it to be yet. Obviously, I'm feeling a little rusty. As Elena can attest to, she hopped in Fortnite on stream the other day after, not playing for a bit, kind of all over the place, but she did
Mm-hmm.
eventually get, you know, a victory royale, a
Nice.
couple of games in. So, it works out, but, it's definitely one of those scenes, like, regardless of what game you play, if you take a step back for, a week or whatever, you develop that rust. And,
Yep.
only playing like 3 or 4 games, like it's not really enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling confident going into this next one. It's just not enough
Exactly.
repetition at that point when I'm basically not practicing in a practice range before queuing up. I just went in cold and I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we'll just roll with the punches, see what happens. And we're doing, quick play anyways. So like I'm not gonna care all that much about like how good I'm doing, but I also don't want to be such a detriment to the team where it's just like I feel like I'm letting everyone else down. But that being said, we hopped into the arcade. We played the community map.
Briefly,
Um,
we
very
experienced the
briefly.
community map. I have played matches on it, and you got the full experience. Like there's like no matchmaking. There's no roll queue. There's like, and the map is a map. Like there are
It's
pitfalls. There are giant fish swimming around. Like we could do like a section on it, but it's not really worth it. Like just
no.
play a couple games on it, experience it, and then be like, oh, that was fun. Okay, I'm going back to actual maps now.
Hmm. Yeah, basically the only thing I knew about it was there's jump pads. That
Yep.
was the extent of my knowledge. But speaking of the games that we had, like normally when we're doing these pre-show streams, just hanging out beforehand, shooting the shit or whatever.
Right.
We have this trend that continuously has happened over the course of time. Uh, but tonight was actually the first time we haven't gotten Coliseum. Knock on wood. Hopefully it continues. I'm not knocking on Timberwood. I'm knocking on the actual wood here. I should clarify because he's in the chat right now. Um, but I can't tell you how much of a victory that was, just on a personal level,
It was
because
nice.
it's like every time that you and I are duoing, it's just like we are constantly. I can knock on you. It's okay. Fine, wood. Well, I'll knock on you too whenever I see you. Um, it's it's just a constant thing where you and I will always get Coliseum, and more times than not, it ends up being like the first map that we end up playing. Tonight
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen. Granted, it was a small handful of games, but just not getting it at all was such a sigh of relief. It just felt good. Did we still end up getting, push? Yes, but it wasn't Coliseum. We got New Queen Street, so.
I don't mind. I don't mind the other push maps. It's only
Mhm.
Coliseum. Now I have played Coliseum today, so maybe that was the one for
You got it
today.
out of the way early.
No lie, the first game back was Coliseum, and I was like, "Are you fucking
Mhm.
kidding me?" Like when I played, I think it was Sunday. Was like the first time I played it again. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna jump back in and start getting back in, like getting the rust off." And it was Coliseum, and I was like, "This is somebody is definitely doing this to me on purpose." But to be fair,
Mhm.
that was the last time I played it before today. So
Okay.
there has been like I said, my philosophy is I log in, I do the 3 dailies, and then I log out. Except for like weekend days, if I have any like weekly quests I'm close on, I'll play a few more. But during the week, that's all I do. So
Mhm.
I mean, I'll take it. I have been happy to see like the variety of maps. Unfortunately, I seem to be falling back into that pit from Overwatch 1 where I get Oasis a lot, and I had that tonight. And I've had that like every day, and that is my least favorite control map. I'm like, dude, let me play Lijiang. Let me play, let me play. I'd even play the new Arctic map over it just because it's new right now. I don't necessarily think it's better, but um, I'm just so tired of Oasis. Like that map is like such a shit show most of the points. So, um, but it is what it is. So I'll take no Coliseo for the trade of Oasis at least.
Mhm.
I will say
Yeah,
that
no,
it
it's
did
all.
it did
Mhm.
it did f with us tonight because we were playing Gibraltar and then it was like, no, you have to play Oasis, and then it server crashed and then threw us into Oasis. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and then it also reloaded Oasis too on top of
Right, because once isn't
it.
enough.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you thought you could escape? No, we're pulling you back in. But anyways, that's enough small chat. We got general Overwatch news to talk about. We
Hmm.
did have the quarterly update in regards to Activision Blizzard. Kind of giving us a gist of what's been happening around the company, how the games are doing, and what's on the docket. All that good stuff. Obviously, there's a
Hmm.
lot of attention being drawn to the buyout in particular with Microsoft. There's been a couple of updates on that, and not looking too promising for it to actually go through at this point in time. But we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, Diablo 4 is also right on the horizon. A lot of people are excited for that. Um, Still probably not going to shell out $70-$80 or whatever the heck it is.
70.
It's yeah. I mean, for just a base price for a PC game, that's a that's a tall task to actually do. But I'm a Diablo fiend, so I'm sure I'm gonna end up getting it and streaming it here on Kick.
Yeah, it's awful. I don't know who would have paid that. Definitely not me already. I definitely did not pre-order it, so I could play it
Did
early.
the real question is, did you pre-order the deluxe box for $100 that doesn't include the game?
No, I did not pre-order that one. I did pre-order the deluxe edition,
Mhm.
um, which is like the step up where you get the playtime early kind of thing,
Mhm.
and all the extra cosmetic BS for $10. But yeah, that, I, look, I played the beta and I really enjoyed the beta. And I sunk a lot of hours into Diablo 3 when it wasn't good, and I sunk even more hours into it once it got good. So very rarely will I pre-order a game, but that is one that I know I will get $70 out of.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
absolutely. Like I'm not too worried about the overall value for the cost. Because like I played Diablo 3 at launch. Okay, let me rephrase that. During launch, Diablo 3 didn't actually launch because there were so many error issues.
right.
Hopefully we don't get a repeat of that. Elena's just spamming emotes in the chat. Fantastic. That's a great way to communicate. I don't even have it on emote only, but that would be perfect for her. Uh, but yeah, so we got an update in regards to Overwatch 2 specific to the player base, and obviously, like we expect dips in
Hmm.
regards to how obviously the game's going to come out strong in quarter one, or initially at launch, and initially we were at like 25 million users playing in the first week and a half of the servers going up. Not quite being able to maintain that. Obviously, we've seen some changes in regards to the season format.
Hmm.
We've kind of talked about like the roadmaps and what their plan is in regards to like releasing new maps, new heroes, having like these limited time events, and all of that. So it's been kind of interesting to see where we are at this point in time, and we're looking pretty healthy still. Like even
Yeah.
through 3 seasons, we're still at 25 million active users, during April, which is great. And like it's just a matter of is Blizzard doing enough to retain that player base? Like, is the seasonal format or like the live service model, bringing players back every season? And like for the most part, things have been looking pretty solid. Sure, we've had um maybe some seasons that didn't go as well as others. Like obviously
Hmm.
some of the limited time events have been kind of hit or miss. But we've also had other ones that were just like, okay, like this is the first season without a new hero. We're gonna try some new things, see what works, see how the community responds. And like again, like that one was the last season when we got Loverwatch, which you and I talked about, which was
Yeah,
the dating sim, which was actually phenomenal. Like obviously we had a lot of
way
fun with
better than
that.
it had any right to be.
And hopefully that will make a return. But it feels like the reception season to season has been pretty positive, and I I don't really know a ton of people that came back for Overwatch 2 and that have left
Yeah,
already. Unlike with
same.
Overwatch 1, where obviously, we had cycles where there was a very long drought of content. Longer than any one of us would have wanted. And obviously, we kind of know like the behind the scenes workings of what was going on with that, them shifting gears in regards to like making the push for PvE content, which still isn't here. And
How's that going?
fingers crossed, maybe we'll get an update. Who knows? Maybe we'll get the Sojourn animation before that. That seems to be around the corner. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but for the most part, player base is still very healthy. Queue times have still been really good, which is
Yeah.
exactly what we want to see.
Yeah, no, the player base is in a great state. I think one thing to look at these like Blizzard and Activision numbers is you have to keep in mind that first of all they lost their whole Chinese player base.
Hmm.
Whether or not that's included in these numbers, we don't know for sure. But I would have to imagine that it is. Like this is such a substantial drop that that has to be included in it. Um, and it seems like it's not revolving around Overwatch.
Hmm.
Overwatch seems to be maintaining it. We also got something from actually the people who wrote this article that is up on screen, Dextro, which is kind of where we go to for a lot of our news and they break a lot of stories and they have a lot of obviously good game coverage across the whole ecosystem, but specifically for Overwatch. But actually, Patrick Dane, who is an editor for Dextro, put out on Twitter, and I have it up, but I'll read it for the audio listeners. He said, I can't get into specifics, but Overwatch reached Deck's top 2 most successful games last week. Anyone saying the Overwatch player base is dying just doesn't see the numbers that I'm privy to. Believe it or not, it's one of the best managed communities in the live service by the numbers. So anybody who's like Overwatch is a dead game, it's dying, that was true 2 years ago. Now they have risen from the ashes and to be decent. We'll give it decent right now. The game is great. The community is growing again. I have seen a lot more talk about Overwatch in general growing since it has gone to the live service model. I hope this translates to more success for the league, which is like a whole nother entity. Um,
Right.
and that is like a whole different discussion because we know the league is having its own struggles, but we'll talk about that when we get into like the esports roundup. But as a whole, like this was all great news. Like this is exactly what we wanted to hear because when Overwatch 2 launched, we were like, okay, everybody's hyped about it. Even the naysayers like Samito and stuff were like, it's just Overwatch 1.5. But then he was playing the game every day and he was having fun during the game until, Sojourn became super oppressive and then he got ragey. But people like
Hmm.
that were really enjoying the game. And even right now, certain streamers are hitting burnout, but most average players I know that I talk to that play Overwatch are like, yeah, as like a daily casual game, it's great. I can log in, I can play, 6 games of quick play or 2 games of comp. If you're a masochist, and you know, uh, and enjoy it. Like everybody I said, like even if they're roles, it's still not like annoying. It's just like, okay, I'll go again, kind of thing. So that's great. Like this is all great news.
Absolutely. So we did also have a new balance patch, or more of like quality of life updates in regards to a Life Weaver, which we were kind of talking about like changes we would like to see to the character, because we
Hmm.
knew like changes were on the way. Some of which did come to fruition, based on some of our thoughts on that. But
Yep.
the new patch had dropped on Tuesday, this week. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna read the dev comments about the new hero, which is the new support, Lifeweaver. Saying we've received feedback that Lifeweaver's control settings leave much to be desired, especially on controllers. Another point that we brought up.
Yep.
We agree and have updated the default controls scheme, along with adding a new hero option for those who prefer the previous layout. Initially, we added the ability to cancel pedal platform by pressing the button again, similar to how Trio Life already works, in order to help simplify the controls and reduce the amount of ability buttons displayed. We hope these changes will make playing Lifeweaver approachable for more players. And, we talked about it, a couple of weeks ago, how the overall layout felt on keyboard and mouse.
Yep.
And, there were like small things that felt a little bit off. I primarily was talking more about, the lunge.
Hmm.
I wanted to see that moved around, which they ended up doing, which is great. And it feels pretty good on that front. Um, but it's nice to see again, like Team 4 has not been afraid to make quick adjustments. And this is
Nope.
something that we're not used to seeing over the span of Overwatch.
Hmm.
There's definitely been things that long get overlooked or just get pushed aside for things that are deemed more important, for whatever reason. So to know, just like they have an idea, they're keeping an eye on things, they hear the feedback, they respond to the feedback, and then they implement, fixes to said feedback, is just so refreshing. And I'm just glad we're at a point now where, with like with these quick hotfix patches that we're able to do now, we're no longer in a situation where if something feels just completely broken, at least from like a quality of life perspective, or just makes a character unplayable, whether it's a skin or just the way that like a scope looks. Like what we've seen with
Ash.
Ash in the past. um, Team Four is just on it.
Yep. No, like I said earlier that I had developed enough muscle memory to this threw me off a lot. But I
Hmm.
didn't want to switch back because this input, like the things that they changed, is definitely superior to the previous one. It's just the ease of use and stuff is a little better. The only weird thing I noticed, and I feel like this is a bug, is I like Kiriko, I switched my offensive and my healing ability. So it's like Baptiste. So your offensive fire is normally on your right click and your healing is on your left click. I swapped those just that way, I keep it consistent across all of my characters. But what happened is when I go to use his ultimate, I can't left click to put it down. So you hit Q and you aim it. You say, where do I want this tree to grow? And then if you left click, it doesn't do anything. You have to hit the healing button for it to do something. So at that point, I have to hit the right click. And it took me like I'd say probably longer than it should have to figure that out, because I kept being like, how do I put this tree down now? Because I'd like aim it and then I'm like moving it back and forth. I'm like hitting Q. I'm like left clicking. I'm like, okay, what is that? And then I die because I'm just standing there like Lifeweaver going like this, like, oh. But I did eventually figure it out. So I feel like that's a bug. That's my only complaint about these changes. Now that I've gotten kind of used to it, um, it it is actually very intuitive and works really well. My I will say the fear I had of doing the bounce off of the pedal with the lunge on the jump is a thing. You just got to be aware of it because there was one time I accidentally double tap jump and I lunged forward on Oasis and I fell over the ledge. So I was literally like in the middle of the enemy team, because I wanted to use the pedal platform spring up and then life grip the tank up top. But that didn't happen because I lunged forward. So then both him and I were sitting in the middle of the team and we died. So that's something you got to be aware of. But other than that, these changes were great. I do know that there was a few bug fixes um, to maps. I don't know if they put it in here, but there were some invisible walls that they fixed that you could get through. Apparently, they didn't fix all of them, and I'm not going to say them. You can easily figure out what they were, but they did fix those as well. So no more, standing. I think it was Esperanza, where you could get like off the map. And especially as like Pharah, you could sit in the geometry and just spam rockets and nobody could kill you. Um, but that's supposedly fixed now. But
Mm.
small quality of life patch. We'll take it. I'm glad they're listening.
Mm.
Um, they still, and they actually went through. I don't know if you watched the dev blog on the Lifeweaver changes. But they said like when we were developing Lifeweaver, we kept making a lot of new abilities and changing it, and then we developed this control scheme, this initial control scheme, but we never went back and like updated it as we changed his abilities, which kind of led to that ability bloat. So they were like, as it went out, we knew we weren't exactly happy with it because it was something we never circled back around to. So it was interesting to see them admit that they basically like fucked that up. They were like, yeah, this is something in the dev cycle we kind of forgot to go back and fix. So definitely watch like the dev talks that they've been putting out. I know there was one that I missed. I think it was the latest one, but they are full of information. And of course, if you don't want to watch them, you can watch any of the streamers do like a TLDR of it, which will probably be what I do. But yeah, it's cool to see like the full like you know I remember when we used to get patch notes and it was just the changes, and we were like, well, why the hell are they doing that? And then they added the developer comments, and that was nice. And now they're taking that a step further. So kudos to Team 4. They're doing great right now.
Yep, and just speaking of like the other Lifeweaver changes, because like we did have some changes outside of just like control scheme that they mixed up. But the automatic reload time for the inactive weapon was increased from 1.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds.
Hmm.
Healing Blossom had the ammo count increase to 20, which was up from 12. Slow now suddenly applies after 1 second of max charge being held. Thorn Volley, we had the projectile size reduced from 0.125 to zero point 0.1, with the spread pattern being adjusted with random spread reduction. One of two projectiles per shot now fire closer to the crosshair.
Hmm.
We also had a buff to Tree of Life in regards to the health, going from 1,000 to 1,200, and also the healing ticks were increased from 50 to 75. But they also removed the passive, which
Yeah.
was the Pardon Gift, which was the interactive, uh,
Health
thing
pack.
that you could just pick up off the ground, and it would heal you whether you were an ally or on the opposing team, which I
Yeah.
thought was like a very unique thing to the character. But now it is no longer in the game.
They did talk about that in the dev blog as well, and they said like as we're looking at the kit, we were like, what is this accomplishing? Like,
Mm.
especially when they said when we're adding things to the world, we're like, is this really accomplishing anything? And they were like, this, you know they looked at, I guess they had numbers and stuff, and they were like, outside of like the Sombra and Tracer on the enemy team grabbing it, they said the actual like usage of it was very low. So they were like, we're just going to remove it, because like even in that first 2 weeks, they were like, this isn't doing what we expected it to. Like we
Mm.
they I guess I forget how they exactly say it, but they were like, we expected this to be like useful for your teammates as like that last hurrah, our enemy flankers continuing the fight. And they were like, that's not really how it happened. Like, so it's cool that they're willing to move things around. I thought it was an interesting mechanic, but if it's not being used, then get rid of it. It's kind of like the old like Reaper orbs. For anybody who remembers before Reaper had lifesteal, like it was
Mm.
literally like just a win more mechanic. Like he would never use them unless they had already won the fight. Like it was very rare that they changed the course of the fight. So this felt like the same thing. Um, I will say the thorn volley, like change, the projectile size change, I haven't noticed. But the actual aiming of it is definitely a lot nicer. Like I can definitely track with it a little better now. So we'll see. I still don't think it's like super deadly. Like he's definitely not like Moira where he can get into the back line and like TikTok his way to a victory. But he can do some work with that thing if you're not paying attention to him. And now that it's always accessible, um, keep an eye on him. I still think his biggest drawback is his hitbox,
Mhm.
and they have said like they're keeping an eye on that. And I think it was Flats who said like, dude, just give him 225 HP. Don't worry about the hitbox. Like just give him a little more HP, and that will be enough to fix that issue. But I think Lifeweaver is going to be in a good spot. I just feel like there's not really a comp he fits in right now. We'll see what the pros come up with, but like any comp I've played with him, I'm just like, okay, we could use a Lucio, or we could
Mhm.
use an Ana or something. Like he doesn't bring all that much to the table. The honestly, the only time I found him super useful is if I'm playing with a Doomfist, and the Doomfist gets like caught behind enemy lines, hacked, or like he uses all his cooldowns and doesn't get a kill, so he doesn't have a lot of shields. That's it. Like then I can pull him out. But other than that, like I don't know. Well, I don't know where he fits, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and shift gears and talk a little bit about what's been going on over on the esports side of the game. And obviously, like the World Cup is happening this year. It's been a topic of
Woo!
discussion for a while now. We've had more countries announcing their roster. We got kind of like the meme video for Team USA, which was definitely
It
not
was great.
believable.
It was
It was
great.
great, but definitely like it was super obvious it was a troll job. But it was entertaining. That's what
Yeah.
we'd like to see. And memery in regards to Overwatch has always been a thing. So to see them kind of like go in on
Hmm.
that was fantastic. But let's talk about the actual team that we do have, not the BS team that they were trying to tweet out. And I'd say like overall impressions are pretty good.
Yeah, it's a pretty stacked roster, and we
I
got
think
we got the
I was gonna say,
return.
like, the biggest thing is the return of Super.
Super. Yeah,
Yeah, coming out of retirement essentially to be on the team paired with Kaluj at
which
the
is
tank position.
which Avast said like obviously Avast is the social
Hmm.
coordinator for Team USA. And first he said like they did the meme video and then they wanted to do the actual announcement video, but there was like such a huge gap in time between the two that wasn't like they didn't plan it that way. It just kind of ended up that way on accident. So I think that's kind of funny because people were like, "Wait, do we actually get a roster announcement?" Um, but yeah, Super coming back is great, and I think Super and Kaluj together is awesome because Kaluj has historically been an off tank player, and we've seen Kaluj kind of struggle with some of the main tank like Ball and
Hmm.
um, like I wouldn't say really like Winston, but maybe Ryan hasn't always been the best. So Super can fill that role. So having the two tanks is great. Um, on that Hydron, Speedily, and Sugar Free, absolutely like stacked DPS lineup. It's nice to see our boy Sugar Free getting into the lineup. He popped off today. Like he tried to make that a game today, and
Hmm.
it didn't go that way. But we'll get to that in a little bit. OG and Ultraviolet, not a surprise there. Like they are a phenomenal backline, and they showed that today as well. And then they have Aspire, RuPaul, and Sam uh, riding the bench. They actually mentioned that they do have. I think it was Avast mentioned that they do have some other players that are like also like bench players, but they can only have a certain number of people. Actually, I think maybe it is RuPaul. I forget which one it is because basically Blizzard will only pay for a certain number of people to go to BlizzCon, but you can technically have as many people on your roster as you want. It's just after that certain number. I feel like it's 7. You have to pay their way to go there. So
So they're basically like casters.
yeah, pretty much. But uh, this is a stacked roster. Like the obviously the big thing is like, are they the favorites? No. Have you seen China and Korea's roster? Like, no. Like, even as defending champions, I wouldn't put this as my favorite roster. Like, sure, I'd love for them to defend the title. I'd love for them to take number 1. Are they top 3? Sure. Like, absolutely. But dude, China and Korea's rosters are stacked, and especially China's roster. China's roster is basically the spark. So they don't even have to take extra scrim time. So that's like a big deal. But in terms of like just the US roster, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing like Hydron and Sugar Free just pop off in a game. But I don't know. Like we'll see how this turns out. They obviously the two big names that people are like probably curious about are like, where's Dante and where's Hawk. We Avast was like dancing around Dante when people asked him directly, and he just said Hawk didn't want to play, so Hawk had no interest in the World Cup.
That's understandable, because
right.
we've seen that from a lot of players.
So, but maybe they just felt with Collusion Super they had tanks covered, which they do. So there you go.
Absolutely. Now we do have like another news bit, but it was kind of like a caveat to another bit that dropped not that long ago, specific to the Overwatch League. Because we were kind of waiting for a while on some of these APAC teams to like give us any sort of update, whether it was a roster announcement or whether there was anything going on behind the scenes. Maybe a team didn't want to come back, play in the next season. Maybe they just wanted to fold a little bit. Turns out that was exactly the case. And now we have all these qualifiers going on, and now we got contenders teams coming into the East for Overwatch League. And it was just like, kind of like dominoes, just falling one after the other. But, it's a great opportunity for these contenders Korea teams. Or contenders East, I guess, nowadays.
Yeah.
But we're at a point now where not only do we have the San Francisco Shock in the league, we also have their feeder team, O2 Blast.
Yeah.
We're over in APAC now, so it's like, okay, like obviously, like losing the team in the Chundu Hunters sucks. You don't want to see like any of these franchises fail, and obviously like. There's a lot going on there. Obviously we talked a lot about everything going on with China and the Blizzard licensing. Obviously we've talked about just franchises in general in esports losing money by the millions per year, which is still an ongoing thing for a lot of people. Yep. There's also been a lot of talk about esports production. And monetization on that front, and how these really large events don't pull a profit.
Yep.
And that's including the biggest esports event there is. So it's like all of these things, there's been doom and gloom about it. But out of that, we got Ramses coming in.
We didn't make it.
We didn't quite make it. Feels bad, man. But what we'll do, we'll switch this over. I gotta see if it completely broke my overlay or not.
That's me.
It might have broken mine.
That's it. Mine. I did it. Yeah. I did what Ednar never could. I broke the podcast. It was me.
What do you mean? Ednar broke the podcast every week. People complain about him every week.
Yeah, I don't know why mine broke. It was set up fine. Let's see.
I'm going to go with user error, and that user is Ramses.
Bro, I just showed up.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like the 2cam was set up perfectly.
Boom.
But this one, no. Window. All right, hold on.
To the wall. Oh, thought we were
To the
saying.
wall?
To the
He
wall.
said from the window to the wall, to the sweat.
I know.
Never mind.
Okay, okay.
I was putting the next part of the lyric.
Okay.
I see what it did, guys. So basically, it was capturing a window, and the window that it selected was like my test call that I did. So whenever they did an update to OBS, it switched it. So rather than just defaulting to just a Discord in general, it's at the other call instead of a specific window. So I just had to manually select in the properties which window to select, and it will fix it. But the overlay itself is still set up right. It's just the windows are on. All right, we're good.
Nice.
We're back. Perks of doing it live, guys. You know, you gotta. That's just the way it is. But anyways, this is Ramses. For those that don't know, here on the kick stream, this is our third host. He usually stumbles in about 40 an hour in, because he's West Coast.
I get off work literally right about when these guys start, and then I roll in. So hello, kickers.
Absolutely. And for those that haven't heard, Ramses also has new music out, so go check it out. I'll tweet it again over on Twitter.
I'll kick that out at the end, unless I missed everything. You guys already finished the show?
No, I made the joke that we were gonna try.
Oh, okay.
I stalled for time.
I appreciate it. All right. So if I can give you guys my experiences this week in Overwatch, I'll give you the same complaint I always give, which is I love losing at the loading screen. I love losing when the other team just has a Pharah and we just decide we're not going to fight the Pharah, and I go, oh, cool, sick, awesome. I'm literally, when it gets to the point where I'm Winston jumping at the Pharah, just trying to do something, anything to try and block it.
Have you tried playing hit scan?
No, this is when I'm playing my tank queues.
No, that's what I'm saying. Have you tried playing hit scan? Oh wait, no. You're literally dead in the water unless you play Diva on some maps. Some maps.
Some maps.
Yeah.
I have been playing a lot more Sigma, and I realize the hype is real. Why is a character this well-rounded and good in this game? It's pretty funny. And then Sigma's great because you start to realize like how timing focused it is, and you start being like, man, my aim is garbage. I'm not just sitting there hit scan poking somebody the whole time. So
fun fact: if you're good at Sigma, if you can figure out Pharah's jump jet, you're good at Pharah too, because the timing is very similar. Unless you're playing the top of the skybox.
What a man. So yeah, it's one of those things where like I know like I went from plat back into gold, and like I don't care, it's fine. I don't let it change me. I'm not majorly affected by it, but it's just like, man, it sucks to like watch you look at these games and it's like, here I am, play the game, and I'm like 5 and 10.
Yep.
And like, I'm not saying I definitely need to have room to improve and get better, but there's several of those where I'm like, I don't know if it was my fault there.
You just need to get to the point where I am, where you just play Junker Queen all the time, and they're like, you got a Pharah. Well, if I hit this knife, that Pharah's dead. But if I don't hit this knife, we lose. And you're like, oh, I didn't hit the knife. Boy, our hit scan's terrible.
Dude, the one that I got so mad about, I just was frustrated with. I loaded into lobby, and the guy who's playing tank is like, Winston mirror, let's do it. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, dude, I'll do the Winston mirror. Like, what, we're playing Parisa? Like, I'll do the Winston mirror. And then that dude's team played Reaper and Bastion to counter me. And then, like...
That doesn't count.
And I know. And then he got mad when I switched off. And I was like, dude, I'm getting picked every time. Their Winston's coming in and just walking at our team. I need to take care of it because my team's not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're already winning. Don't be mad that I'm losing the duel. Don't be mad that I switched off the duel.
I respectfully decline due to extenuating circumstances.
Literally, I was like, I'm not going to play Winston when your team is playing stuff that immediately counters me. And his response was, I can't control them.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah, I feel so bad for you. Get him, Reaper. Yeah.
Did you guys already go into the esports stuff already?
We just
We
started.
were talking about the play-ins for the East and the Chundu Hunters fallout. And then I went on a tangent about all the doom and gloom around esports, just in general as a whole. But yeah.
Yeah. There's a really interesting tweet from Doa I read a couple days ago talking about how, like, if you, because there's this, like, there's kind of this dissonance where people want a homegrown and like built from the ground up, like heavily invested by like not local but like small time talent growing into big time talent. Like they want something to be built from ground up, but at the same time they want production values and quality standards from something like the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want the NFL thing, you're gonna have to start charging people for it.
Yep.
There's a let me see if I can find the tweet in here. He was talking about it.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know Spyder
serious.
had replied to DJ Tyrant about it.
Yep.
Yeah, seriously, you want to see esports grow? Let's start charging pay-per-view fees for weekend events again and putting season VODs behind subscriptions. That was the standard before game companies took over the scene and decided everything should be free with zero plans for long-term sustainability. Actually paying money for the esports content you consume means that content can keep going and improve. It was a good thing when it happened before, and it could still be a good thing now. Being tethered to game company marketing budgets isn't getting us anywhere. Which I mean, I was gonna say, like, yeah,
go ahead.
you go.
You finish first, and then I'll go on my.
Well, how often have we complained where we're like, man, where's the marketing for Overwatch League? And like, it's been better in recent years, but like, so often we'd be like, man, there's no visibility, there's nothing for this. You know what helps for that? Having its own individual budget that's coming from people paying directly into the game. And I think that it's so much more sustainable long term. I think you would have to pair it with them having to. Sorry, you have to pair it with them opening up tournaments again. I would hope, but
yeah,
you go.
That's interesting though, because I don't know if you watched Uber's video, because Uber put out like he did a stream where he talked for like an hour and a half on it, and he basically said the opposite. Like he said, like it being the marketing budget for a game actually was back when it worked, because that's what they treated it as. They treated it as marketing, and then they would make their money back in game, which is basically how Riot does it and how Riot has pivoted to do it. And Riot put out a big, blog post as well, which starts out pretty cringy, but kind of gets into some good stuff here at the end. But it kind of doubled down on that. Like, we can't do this like the NFL. We can't do this like as a traditional sports model. Like, we're not going to get the broadcast rights. We're not going to do that, which is actually Uber, in not so many words, basically said like that's why Overwatch League is back on YouTube, is because there's this high level deal between ABK and Google, not even Overwatch and YouTube, but ABK and Google. That's why this YouTube is still a thing, and not Twitch. Is there? There's like cloud hosting. There's like all kinds of like upper level stuff. And he's like, I don't know the specifics. I don't know, 100%, but he put some caveats on it. But basically, he's like, I've listened, and this is what I've learned. So this decision is obviously a lot higher than any of us ever expected. Especially since what we knew in the past was, Overwatch League dealt with Twitch, and that's where they got that. It seems like over the years that has shifted to like a whole organizational thing. So that's something to keep in mind. But Riot, who is the best at esports in the business right now, like nobody can argue that Riot, if anybody is going to figure out esports right now, it is going to be Riot. And they were very candid, like, we're not going to treat it like that anymore. Look at Valorant. Valorant is poised to make money through its microtransactions, and that's how we're going to pay teams back. And Riot gives them like a stipend to create marketing around it. So, not only is the esports league in their marketing budget, but they're also getting all this extra marketing from teams, because teams literally get paid money to market the game. So obviously we're going to need to see some changes on Overwatch League's front. I had hoped that the whole Microsoft thing might start to bring that about. It looks like that might be dead in the water. So, there's going to need to be a lot of changes to make Overwatch League profitable, because I don't think the traditional model is gonna hold them, and it seems like they're trying to hold on to that still, based off of what Uber said. So anybody who wants like the real specifics and more of like a deep dive on specifically Overwatch League, go watch Uber's stream, because he was very candid, and he definitely talked about how like he's gotten in hot water before about what he said, but he stands by everything he says. So I respect him, because not many people are willing to call out the company that they are contracted to and be like, guys, what the fuck is this? Like, why are these desks right next to each other for these teams that are playing a multi-million-dollar tournament? Like, this is this is stupid. So
Yeah, he has a position of where like he has his finger on it so much. I think it's a communication of expectations, right? Like if people get butthurt when it's like not NFL ESPN level quality like on stream, which is like, okay, if you want that, then cool, put the money in. Like from a user standpoint, like if you want an NFL Network level of experience, like you have to pay for NFL Network. Like I think that I agree with the budget part of it. I'm just interested to see kind of as I think a lot of games are as a lot of with esports people are tightening those budgets. I'm interested to see where it goes. I mean, every year we do like the last 3 years we've done like is Overwatch League going to be around next year? Let's see. And I feel like for this past offseason we've been pretty confident about this coming year. But like it seems like every year I just feel like a little bit more like I don't know if the budget's going to be there next year.
Well, now it's more, are all of the teams going to return next year?
Yeah.
But if some of the teams fold, that might actually help the league out, because then they can centralize it a little better. I will say, after seeing the production today, I am a lot more hopeful, because they have their own studio now. They're not in a van anymore. They have like the old, I say old school, but they have like the old Watch Point feeling, where they have like the pre-show where they actually have a screen where they can break things down, like they can do segments and stuff. It felt last year, and obviously I'm excluding the COVID year, because that was just a shit show in its own right. But last year, it seems like they just didn't have any resources. Like they were literally thrown in a trailer and been like, make it work. Hex has said as much. He's like, we just didn't have anything to work with last year. Whereas this year, we still don't know what company took over the production, but whatever company took over the production,
I'm pretty sure it's Esports Engine, because Zoe posted something about like they have like a whole like maternity room set up for her.
Okay.
So
I'm pretty sure it's
good.
that.
And it could be. I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find anything concrete, other than multiple people involved in the league saying that a outside company had taken over production. So if it's Esports Engine, I would believe that, because the production quality was great today. I still stand by the stream quality wasn't as good as it could have been, but that might improve. So I was literally watching it in 4K, and I'm like, what is going on here?
I loved watching like how stoked they are. Like there's a bit in the Toronto, like after the Toronto game, where it's Jake and Reinforce are just like so giddy to go run up to the board and start doing the telestrations. Like I think like I was really impressed with that part of it. The only thing that was kind of a little weird was that like that they have Danny doing the interview from the desk while he's still on the desk.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a little bit more to kind of like get in sync for that.
I feel like what they should do is they should move him over to the board, and then just do it there. Like literally what they could do, and I don't know if they have the capability to do this, but they could put Danny there and put the player on the board and have Danny talk to the board. And I think that would, it wouldn't change the flow, but it would make the optics a little better.
Yeah, I think so. I know we're all surprised that O2 Blast made it in for
barely though. They weren't as dominant as I thought they would be.
They had their whole roster
That's what
poached. Why would
happens when you go when you have
Right,
to
right,
completely
right.
rebuild every year. It's like, of course. But yeah, I already mentioned, right before you hopped on, and it's, we're in a spot now where, we got the shock, and now we also have the feeder team. So it's like, all right, let's see how many of these players are going to get picked up in the next season. But, O2 Blast Scouting just as a whole has always been exceptional, the past several years. So, like obviously Contenders Korea just as a whole has always been held to a higher standard. So I feel like the East is definitely going to be more competitive as opposed to like kind of seeing like what we got out of the other play-ins. Because like yeah, we had some pretty good like collegiate like contenders teams in there.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them felt more mid-table in regards to against the competition, where I feel like in the East it's definitely going to be a lot closer.
Yeah, these teams were like bringing it. I watched a lot of the play-ins over the last few days, like the 3 nights. I would basically get up and that's what I would watch during work instead of the streamers that I normally watch. Because I wanted to pay attention to the East this year. That has nothing to do with the Dallas Fuel being over there, but
No, of course not. No.
not at all. The level of play these teams were playing at was surprised me because I know what to expect from like NA contenders and EU contenders. Those are the two that I've watched, and you can see the flaws there. Like even me, as an average Overwatch player, can see like, okay, this guy should have been caught out. This guy's missing shots that he should have hit. Whereas like these guys, like their strategies were in sync. Like I said, I think it was Dreamers. I talked about this on the pre-stream where they were playing like Arctic and they were playing like a Symmetra Rhine comp and they were just teleporting their Rhine all over the map. And even the casters was like, well, this basically gets rid of Rhine's weakness on this map, like because he can't go to the high ground. And literally, as soon as they needed to get high ground, that Reinhardt was there. And as I watched it, I was like, God, I wish I could get somebody on my team to do this because that just looks like a lot of fun because that Reinhardt was coming out of angles that nobody expected. And the other team didn't know how to deal with it because they were playing, I think initially they were playing Diva and then they went Winston. And even that they didn't know what to do because the whole team was just running around fragging them the whole time. So the East is going to be interesting this year. I do have some concerns for the Soul Train. Just I guess the Soul Dynasty train now we have to actually like specify for the soulmates, but yeah, it's going to be an
Soul
interesting
Dynasty.
Yeah,
The Soul. Oh, okay.
the Soul Dynasty.
Oh, and I said this to the boys, but this did get announced today, literally 15 minutes ago. So Bellis Rhea has also been announced for Soul Dynasty. Totem, I could see the excitement just like on you. You're struggling to keep it in.
I'm just radiated right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest news out of the East for the week though is that our boy Diem got dropped.
Yeah.
Moon
Who
brought it.
Who would have guessed all these off-roll,
Moon brought him out of retirement to off-roll and then kicked him.
Medical issues, apparently. Medical issues.
Yeah. He had Moon's foot in his ass, so he couldn't play as he was walking out the door. That's rough. So Carpe Diem is done.
The NYX, we've known the NYXL roster for a little bit, right? Or am I just now realizing? Okay.
Yeah, it's been weird because it's like we've had teams like announcing their rosters, but then like there was like a long pause in between like the Overwatch League like actually posting something.
Okay, that's why I was like, "Whoa, it's there!"
Because it's been like that for a few teams, like leading into opening weekend.
Yep.
Huh.
Because I did that thing too, Ramses, where I'm like, I had to do a double take. I'm like, did we already know this? And then like I looked at like when the sign-in period was, and I'm like, yeah, this was months ago.
Also, we haven't got to talk about this yet, have we? What the hell is going on in Boston?
Oh, the boomage.
The boot.
It's
Spider,
Boston.
do we get to hit the striker retiring button before he even plays a game?
No, he'll get a game in. Do they play this week?
I don't know.
I can
Do
look
they?
real quick. Let me switch screens.
Oh my
Boston.
gosh, dude.
Yes, they play Saturday. They actually play New York. They play Saturday and Sunday. So um, Striker will be there this week, and then we will have
There's
a farewell message on Monday.
there's something so funny about like seeing all the pro players start responding in tweets after, like, oh yeah, you jumped our, like, you no showed our scrims, you quit our script, like all these pro players being like, oh yeah, this all happened to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. the
Dogpile
one-
mentality.
the one time Boston gets something good, the one
Mm-hmm.
time.
I think that I think that's what's leading to the frustration though. But I feel like I don't know, the whole Scrimbuck exchange this year is so wacky just because I don't feel like there is like one set meta. I feel like this year is so open that it really depends A, what your team's good at, and B, what maps you end up on. Like especially in these first couple of weeks, I feel like if you've scrimmed certain maps and you've gotten good with a comp, you could use that to win matches you shouldn't. But I also feel like it can swing the other way real easily. Like if you're not prepared for a map and you haven't had a lot of time, like say your players just got in from Korea, um, you could see some like disastrous results. So I feel like we got to look at that today with London and Washington because it just looked like London just was not on the same page, whereas
Mhm.
Washington, by all accounts, should have been the worst team, but their execution was really good. Like they're they say the fundamentals are what's most important in sports, and that's literally what they played today. Like they executed the bare basic fundamentals of like Overwatch, and it worked. In London, who is a team that should have easily been able to coordinate just as well, could not pull it off. So I feel like these first couple of, I'd say probably the first 2 weeks, we're gonna see some interesting upsets like we did today.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's also a great way to potentially get ahead in pick'ems, which are returning this year. I still need to set up our community ones. So after they're recording tonight, I'll probably set that up. So maybe we'll just start that with week 2. But of course, like we'll post all the links and stuff over in our community Discord and tweet it out for you guys. So we can see how well you guys do or how poorly you do, depending on on who you are. Maybe you're just gonna be one of those people who fill it out in the first couple of weeks and then just forgets.
I would never.
Yeah,
I feel called out.
yeah, or you just fall behind and then you're like, oh, I'm not gonna catch Totem. So then you just give in at that point.
Yeah. I got 2 out of the 3 games somewhat correct today. I didn't get any perfect points today. I was wrong on map score, but I got Defiant and Shock and Mayhem and Titans right. But I doubted the justice. As a local DC,
Understandable.
I doubted the justice, and um, they are
The
like,
bad man is gone, though, Spider. The bad man is gone. Pre and Supreme are both gone. It's okay.
yeah, and
It's all
Decay.
right.
So, we'll see. Like I have hope for justice, but I'm not quite willing to pick them just yet against most teams. Although I will say my faith in the Spitfire took a big hit today.
Yeah, it was a pretty like just watching Hottie get swept into the water
Yes.
over and over again.
uh, the shock, like I didn't catch all of the Justice game. I missed the last map. But the Shock Defiant game was really good. Like I got to watch
Mhm.
all of that one. That one was phenomenal. Like it started out a little rough because I was like, oh, Shock might roll this on the first map. But then it evened up as it went on. So I think the hype around Toronto's good, which is good because that's basically our World Cup team. Um, and
USA, USA.
Toronto Defiant. No. And the Mayhem Titans game went the way I expected, but I will say Sugar Free definitely tried to make that a game. Like he tried so hard to make that a game. And I'm so glad that it was Dogman casting that, because Dogman literally was like, dude, I played with this kid and he's nuts. So I'm glad to see him stepping up. But
yeah, when I popped on, I was like, I couldn't remember like who all the caster duos were, and I'm like, is that Dogman?
uh-huh.
It's Dustin Bowerman, excuse you.
No, they had Dogman on the broadcast. I know he likes to go by his regular name now, but they actually put that on the broadcast, so I'm allowed to say that. But they were like one of the late announcements. Like they didn't make it into the official announcement. Like they got into the Pro-Am announcement, but I'm glad to see that they are branching out. And I was glad to see that the desk absolutely made fun of Custa not being on the desk anymore. So somebody, I think it was at the end, somebody tweeted out like, this is the most like attractive desk there's ever been, and reinforced literally. I was like, wait a minute, the only thing we did is we dropped Custa for Jake, so what does that say about him?
What a guy.
So, but
Jake's great on the desk too. They gave him a spot where like he can just talk, which if there's one thing that guy likes to do, it's talk.
And he's good at it. So yeah, I'm all for it. Like everything today outside of the actual like stream quality during matches, I was really impressed with, because I did not have a lot of hopes this season after everything. I guess why list it, everything. So I am glad to see that. When the East games don't start till Saturday, right? They're only 1 day a week, right? This
Let's
week.
see.
Yes. It's not until next week that they play Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it's just Saturday.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Oh, no, they don't play at all this week. No, they do. Never mind.
No, I see them the 29th.
They do. Yeah. As I'm
they just
scrolling
separated it.
Yeah, as I'm scrolling the pick'ems, it like skipped. So because we get.
You guys?
Oh, go ahead.
What's up?
I was saying, did you guys already talk about Midseason Madness and Seoul this year?
Nope.
No, we didn't, which is a really cool thing. We're actually getting a league-wide LAN event in APAC, which is fantastic. We haven't had the opportunity to do that. And obviously, if like Korea being the epicenter for competitive gaming as a whole, to actually host an event for the Overwatch League over there is going to be a pretty big deal, as opposed to just like doing a homestand event, which is kind of like what they had been accustomed to up to this point in time for the Overwatch League.
Yeah, I mean this kind of doubles down on what Uber was saying, is they need to leverage the East a lot more to help grow the league. Like they obviously they need to pick things up here as well, but they are uniquely suited to leverage their esport in the East in terms of FPS, because they are definitely still one of the best FPSs in the East, like even above Valorant. Like they're definitely keeping toe with that. So this is amazing. Like I'm glad they're actually getting this, because as much as I would love for it to be local and something that I could go to, I'm happy to share.
Just take the bullet train.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, I do not need any reason to have me and my wife go to Seoul. Okay, we have enough reason already.
You can go see the cherry blossoms.
Oh, I can do that in DC.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it.
No, she wants to go see BTS before they all leave for military duty. Because you can just do that as they're walking around in Korea. But I do want to go to Seoul at some point, because I think it would be pretty cool. But obviously not for this.
Yeah. Too short notice.
Not even that. I just did
But
it.
I mean, you were saying, you needed some, some alone time away from the kids. So I'm just saying.
Maybe. Yeah, I was just saying, I'm not bringing the kids on that one because a 4-hour car ride was bad enough. The last thing I need is a 17-hour plane ride.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be Spyder. I think they could hang. They can do it. It'll be fine.
Oh, they could do it. It's just, the air marshal might come after me when I murder one of them.
I'd give them 17 minutes max.
For what? Until they go crazy?
Yeah.
Wow, you don't know my kids. That is, unless you're factoring in all three of them, that is too high of an estimate. And one of them would go nuts before we even hit the plane. So you got to remember, I have a 2-year-old too. So, and he's in the no phase. So
yeah. I've already we've seen that phase 4 times. Or 3 times already at this point. And it's like my sister is having another kid, so it's like
3's enough.
We're constantly delaying the Disney World trip. Time and time again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, we're on number 5, so it's like I am just gonna go again without him.
It's like you ever hear that Jim Gaffigan joke where he's like, here's what it's like to have 5 kids. Imagine drowning and then someone hands you a baby.
Yeah.
Oh well, but it circling back. This is a cool event. I'm glad they're doing it. So, as we get closer, I hope we get a little more info on like who's doing the production and stuff. I don't think they've really said the production. They obviously they said the venue and the time and stuff like that. So, I'm quite excited to see how it turns out. And they mentioned it in the article, but seeing a soul versus soul match in this venue would be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think that'd be really, really fun. We'll just have to see if either of those teams qualify. It's asking a lot.
Yeah,
definitely could be. I just want to know if there's just gonna be a ton of Seoul Korea trains.
So I was gonna say, so Totem, when is your Seoul Korea Seoul Dynasty jersey coming in?
That's the question of whether or not I'm willing to buy one. And
when that mid-season madness merch sale happens, I'll be right there with you with my sugar-free jersey.
Yeah, maybe maybe if it drops to like $60, I'll consider it. But I already dropped 90 on one. You got I got the Titans one, so I should have just bought a sugar-free one. That would have made more sense. But
how much are the player ones? 110.
I honestly don't know. I already felt guilty spending 90.
Ridiculous, man. Every time these jerseys come out, I'm like, there's no way they're charging this much money for them. And 2 years in, I'm like, I'll buy a $75 jersey. Why not? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Man.
I'll get you. But anyway, so as you mentioned earlier, we had the Shock versus the Defiant. That match went 3-2 in favor of the Shock. We also had the Justice beating the Spitfire 3-1, and we had the Mayhem beating the Titans 3-1. So obviously, like we're in a spot right now where just trying to find a format to cover the games is going to be a little bit different since we are bi-weekly. But we do have a full slate this week, plus 1 game of APAC. But just looking at the lineup this week, what do you guys is like the standout game that you guys are like looking forward to? Because obviously, like we have some games that are really enticing to look at from teams that like we are probably going into the season expecting to be top caliber. We didn't really do like preseason rankings this year, so maybe we should just start to do our rankings at like the start of each like tournament cycle.
Yeah.
like what we'd been doing in the past, and just compared it to the community rankings again.
I think the Shock versus Atlanta game is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see that one. That and then Toronto versus LA, I think would also be good too. I feel like all the other ones are pretty. I don't know, just to see what happens with Boston. I kind of am interested. I'm interested in that one, but Boston versus London might be good, but I don't know. I think the LA Toronto and then the Atlanta San Francisco are definitely like the marquee matchups for the weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the Outlaws do tomorrow against the Gladiators. That's one I'm going to be watching. And then of course the Soul match, just because it's cool. It's Soul versus Soul, so we'll
For the
see
first
how that.
time.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think Ramses is right. Outside of that, there's a couple of like meme matches, like the Boston matches to see if they crumble. The I was gonna say the Justice versus the Eternal match, but I've already adjusted my pick there and dropped the one map that I gave Eternal. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting first week for sure, but I don't think there's outside of a few select matches. I don't think there's any that I think are gonna surprise us too much unless there's like some huge outlying lack of scrims.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, like that's the thing too. Like when we kind of like look at the way that the schedule was broken down, it seems like this was kind of like true for last year too, where it's like each day kind of has like the titular like gimme match that's gonna draw in the viewership, and then after that it kind of wanes a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of seen a parallel this year to that, which isn't a bad thing. But I mean, obviously, like it was pretty true today with the Shock versus Defiant game. Obviously, pretty high expectations on both fronts. And whether or not Defiant's going to be able to ride this one out and kind of like escape that middle of the pack mentality that they've been kind of stuck in for such a long time at this point remains to be seen. But all in all, like, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, for me personally, obviously the Dynasty Infernal match is going to be like the one I'm paying most attention to. But I'm also curious to see that Dragons matchup that we got to close out the Saturday against the Spark, because like for so long it's like we've been waiting to see whether or not the Spark can like maintain any sense of stability. You know, there are so many times where we're like, oh man, this team is absolutely stacked, and you look at all the pieces that they have, and there were times where like they were running two different rosters. There were times where they trimmed the fat, and it's just like just stick to something and see if it works, because like there's so much talent on that team, but it's just like they've never been able to obviously like live up to like the sum of their parts at this point in time. And obviously like we know how good Gushui is. We know how good all the pieces are to this team. And the Dragons have definitely seen quite a few changes going into the season as well. So this is really going to be like a perfect opportunity for the Spark to kind of like rewrite history at this point. Because the Dragons for a while there, they struggled a bit last season, and obviously like there was stuff going on behind the scenes with that. But now's the time to like strike them while they're down. They're restructured, and obviously expectations this season are drastically different compared to what they were in years past.
Yep.
We'll see. I do we so remind me who's playing flex support for Shanghai now that DM is not going to be there anymore.
Well, like that's the thing. Like, there's so many like off-roll.
Is Bebe back again?
Let me
Let's
pull
see.
up the Wikipedia really quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
So we got Fleta, Viper, Hizu, Gainam, Jin, Bebe, and Iris.
Oh yeah, they just picked up Iris.
So it's gonna be Iris. Honestly, if Bebe plays, I would be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But we do get to still see Fleta on tank.
Can't wait. I can't wait. I'm telling you, what if they? I know he's done some bad things. I know he's not great, but if we can get if the back from the dead, the Ryujie Kong Winston specialist.
Yeah, we need a name for Fleta, so we need to see what he plays, because we got the tank Moo, we got Ryujie Kong, I don't know, Floria. I don't know, because Fleva sounds bad, so I don't know. We'll see what tank he plays. I don't know.
If any.
Yeah. I will say I was surprised to see the Junker Queen come out today. And there was some discussion in our Discord about it, how she's a counter to Winston. And I'm like, well, yeah, at that level, because, you know, you can knife the Winston as he's jumping away and pull him back. But at our level, he's not a counter to she's not a counter to Winston, because you're like, I'm going to knife that Winston. Like knives. Like I wish I was better with like a modeling editor, because literally it'd be like you knife your own Zenyatta and he just falls over.
Or you just knifing the moon.
Yeah, exactly. It just
my favorite
it closer.
See, my favorite thing, Spyder, is being like, no, you don't see. I meant to knife behind them and pull it back for the bleed damage. That's what it was. I wasn't trying to hit them. I was trying to pull it back through them. That's what it was. My whole plan was.
That's my plan every time. Knifing them is a bonus. But yeah, I don't have a lot of high hopes for this Shanghai roster initially, especially knowing the other teams that are in the East region. Oh,
let's see.
I just looked at the Spark roster again. That's rough.
I mean, also true.
Although, how do we feel about Mag being on the Inferno? Is this his?
He'll be good this time, guys. I promise.
We just got to give him 12 chances.
He's finally gonna live to his potential, guys. I promise. It's definitely happening this time.
I'm so sad that like the Overwatch League missed the hard Reinhardt meta, because he actually probably might have did pretty well in that one, because there's not a whole lot of stacked Reinhardts in the East right now.
I mean,
well, you know, I was just trying to force it.
He could. I mean, and the Reinhardt's still good on certain maps. But I would have definitely picked Mag over Void if it was a Reinhardt v Reinhardt matchup.
How was the viewership today? Did you guys pay any attention to that?
When I popped in, it was at 80K, but I don't know if that was like the height or not.
Okay.
I can pull it up. Viewer metrics don't matter. Don't you know that? According to Uber, they do not matter. Or they are like the least, one of the lesser important things now.
Well, I was just curious, because like obviously, like with it being open in day, and obviously there's an extent to well, how well have they been getting the word out? Because I honestly, like today, like I completely forgot that the league was started today.
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, this is the thing.
I can tell you that the video of it lists 625K views, which is quite a lot for as soon as
for
this
a
ended.
day one, yeah.
For being over, you know, what, 4 hours at this point, less than 4 hours. That's a lot, because I can tell you that like I would watch the like the Korean or the Eastern qualifiers like a day late, and it was still only sitting at like 60K. So that seems significant. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye on it tomorrow and see how it does.
All right, so that's pretty respectable.
I mean, you get drops now, so that definitely helps.
Yeah, as opposed to literally trying to fight like 10,000 people for 5 codes.
Also,
yeah,
did they mention anywhere that there's a Zarya skin and I just completely missed that? Because there is a Zarya skin you can buy for Overwatch League tokens.
I saw it like on Twitter. I didn't see. wasn't in stream long enough to see it.
Yeah, I didn't. And a lot of times today there was a lot going on here. We're coming up on inspection, so like in between matches and in downtime, I was like outside power washing and painting, the house. So a lot of times in like the downtime, I wasn't listening to it. So I don't know if they mentioned it, but yeah, there's a Zarya skin that you can buy for Overwatch League coins, and I have found no connection to anything. It's a rock climber Zarya skin, and it's pretty good. Like you can get the skin, the card, and a voice line for like 300 Overwatch League tokens. So I bought it because I just had the tokens. And Zarya honestly doesn't have a whole lot of great skins. So if there's like a somewhat decent skin, I'm all for it. And she has and the voice line is a callback to Guts on Nickelodeon. So I'm all for it.
Oh man, that's a throwback.
She says, "Let's go hit the crag," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." The aggro crag. But yeah, it's just something that popped up that I was like, that's weird. Like I didn't hear anybody mention this. Like unless I was just specifically looking, because I was gonna go buy a couple of skins for the start today, and then I saw that I was like, well, never mind, I'm buying that.
See if I can find it on the Overwatch League Twitter. Or, I mean, assuming Twitter works, as it just gives me a retry.
Oh, did Elon forget to pay the bill?
No, like it worked when it refreshed. But it's just a matter of how far am I gonna have to scroll? Because obviously they were tweeting a lot today. There's kind of something going on.
I love
with
I love the Reddit thread. The top comment is, "From the bangers owl skins normally are. This is a disappointment, but it's Zarya. She's not allowed to have good skins."
I mean, folks, where's the lie?
Yeah.
That's a joke for Totem only, but yeah, no, Zarya has like a couple.
Oh, I found it. It was tweeted on April 25th.
So 3 days ago. Did they mention like
for you? Yes, it says. Here's the tweet. Don't end this one on a cliffhanger. Your climb to victory will be unstoppable with Rock Climber Zarya, legendary, available now in the Overwatch 2 shop. And then there's the video.
So it has no connection to anything. Like this isn't the Dallas Championship skin.
No, it's like the May boxing one that they had.
Yeah, but even those were tied to like the May Melee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is just like, here's a Zarya skin to spend Overwatch League tokens on because they're marginally more expensive than Overwatch tokens. But hey,
it's a weird thing to do because like you would think like right now, since they've been doing like these like support packs, like for the Overwatch League tokens, that is enough options for people to like actually spend the tokens or buy tokens.
Yeah. But they moved to a tank pack now, so they needed a tank skin.
That's fair.
No, I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind it. Because like I said, I didn't know it existed till I just accidentally found it today. So, I mean, I say it at the end of every show, and I will say it again at the end of tonight's show. I am not on Twitter at all anymore. Like, it is just not worth it to me. Like I
didn't see it either, and I am on Twitter. So
I will go to Reddit and I will browse Reddit. Not all day if my boss is watching, but I will browse Reddit. But yeah, Twitter, unless like somebody tags me or something, or I'm just on there randomly, like I was last week when I responded to like DJ Tyrant. Yeah, I don't get on Twitter, man. 'Tis a silly place. Let's not go there. But yeah, Zarya skin. So keep that in mind. I also, while we're doing random call outs, make sure you pick up your Prime Gaming Pack, 5 free Battle Pass levels. You have till May 14th, or if you watch the stream earlier.
I'm gonna do it right now.
March 14th. Hey,
I gotta make sure my Twitch is muted. Mute. Yes. Go here. Nope, wrong one. Not the messages.
that's going to increase your battle pass level by like what? 300%?
More. I mean,
go from 2 to 7?
Yeah. It's like, which tab is it? I'm an idiot. It's the first tab.
Yeah. Prime Gaming.
Let's see.
Yes.
Is my account not linked to this already? Okay, it is.
Compelling live Twitch TV.
Permission required.
The only Twitch I watched this week was Honkai Star Rail because they had drops, and I'm like, I got to get my sweet gotcha on.
Mm-hmm.
Which coincidentally is also the reason I can't take a trip to Korea right now.
Success. Your +5 to your skips will be sent to your game. All right.
Hmm.
Oh, let me make sure I click this slider where I never miss a drop when it comes to Overwatch 2 content. That seems like an important thing to do.
Oh, I go in there like every other week to see what's new, because I abuse, like, there are games on there that I've claimed so much stuff for that I have no desire to play. Like, I should probably log into Warframe at some point, because I've probably got like a shit ton of stuff just sitting in the inbox, and I haven't played Warframe in like 4 years, but I claim it every time. Same thing with Lost Ark.
Absolutely. Warframe's a pretty good game, though. I remember hopping in there for a free-to-play title. Definitely a lot to do.
My problem with Warframe is, like I said, I haven't played it in so long, and I was in the middle of the game when I stopped. That is, like, I've tried it a couple times because people are like, "Oh, you got to play this new update. It's amazing." And I'll log in, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Mm-hmm. So I screw around for like 2 hours, and then I'm like, this is... And then I log off because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to progress the story. I don't know, if anything I have is good anymore. So like I have like 3 prime frames, and then like I'll be like, oh, is this frame good? And they're like, no, that one's not good anymore. And I'm like, oh, cool. What about this one? No. Well, this one's good. Okay, but I don't have anything for that one. So yeah, I don't have that problem in Overwatch because I can log in and throw on any character.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Oh, Ramsey's
so
talking, but he's muted.
Oh no.
He's probably been talking this whole time.
He might have been.
He's like,
I mean, he was crackling just a little bit not that long ago, so maybe he nudged something and then he just turned himself off. He doesn't know, it's just the perks of doing it live.
There we go.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Door posted a tweet today that I think viewership peak was 106,000.
Okay, that's
really good.
Honestly, more than I would have expected. Because I would not have.
We can get some sponsors back.
Whoa! Let's not go that far.
That's a big ask right there.
Yeah.
Spyder.
Maybe sponsor.
Yeah.
We got to get one, and then maybe that would entice others.
Hey, San Francisco Shock picked up Bonchon. That's a big deal. They snuck it from both of the Korean teams. I'm like, how's San Francisco gonna pick up a Korean fried chicken restaurant?
Well, the team sponsors haven't been an issue.
I know. Look,
it's an actual league.
we haven't excited to fly by United Airlines, the official airline of the New York Excelsior. Spyder?
No, I will never fly United.
It would be Spirit. What do you mean?
I would never fly Spirit either. I just won't fly. I don't like any of them, honestly. We haven't talked about the biggest news of the week, which was dropped on Uber's stream. That man has never had a Butterfinger. He said he has never had one, even after the sponsor.
He's all muscle. Why would he? I mean, that's something we have in common then.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like how Ramsey's shirt matches the Soul Dynasty winner pick that he posted.
I'm just like Uber for real.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, I think we've devolved into chaos at this point. So
I mean, we always get there. Yeah, we're still gonna like tweak around the format a bit for the Overwatch coverage or Overwatch League coverage since we are still doing bi-weekly stuff. But expect like other filler content in regards to like the YouTube stuff, whether it's just smaller recap or like previews on that front, or keys to victory or whatever we're gonna end up doing. But we are gonna have additional content in the course. As I said earlier, I will get the pick'em set up for the community, and I'll tweet out the link, all that stuff, and I'll put it in the show notes too, to see how everyone does on that front. Because I know we always have a good time with that, and it gets pretty competitive when we got a lot of us doing it. So we'll see whether or not I can maintain my success rate. But the first few weeks are always just an absolute clusterfuck. So who knows? All bets are off.
Yep. Let's go. Tomorrow, the Excelsior will sweep the rain.
You heard it here first.
Yep.
I mean, I had my pick'ems up on the screen, so anybody that actually paid attention and saw that knows that's not how I picked it. But I'm going to say it. So.
So the audio listeners are going to be like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. He's stupid.
Yeah, maybe you just hope that they spaced out for like the 20 seconds after you initially said it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's just a blip in the matrix and they'll not know.
Yeah.
But time will tell. But anyways, so obviously League's back. Great times to be had by all. We'll see how wild the East is going to get this year. Obviously, that's going to be a pretty big storyline with these contenders teams duking it out against some rebuilt APAC teams. Should be a good time. But all in all, we'll see. We'll see how the fuel adjusts to being back home, which is another thing. But I'm not too worried on that front. I don't know about how Ramses is feeling going into season with the Outlaws. That's really like the only other thing that we haven't really touched on. Like, because I feel like out of all of us, I'm probably the most worried about my team. As opposed to you two.
This is probably the strongest Outlaws roster I think that's ever been on paper. That being said, we get fourth again. Low expectations, comparatively, but like we're gonna get fourth. Fearless is gonna have to play Reinhardt and
Winston.
Fearless is gonna have to play like Junker Queen or something that he has like no idea how to play, and then we're gonna get like wrecked.
I will say that his Doomfist looked much better in the Pro-Am the couple of times we saw it. So he's definitely been putting the hours into the other characters. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Like I still think not picking up Merit. Like I don't believe in Happy. I don't think Happy has the.
I like Happy. Sweet dude, awesome guy. He's not Merit.
Yeah. I don't know. We saw it with Florida today. Merritt, if you leave that guy alone, he's gonna commit war crimes very easily. So
absolutely. Well, on that note, guys, we are gonna close things down for the night. So of course, the best thing to do to reach us, you can find us all over different social medias. I don't even have my notes up, so I'm gonna do that real quick. But of course, easy thing to do, join us on our community Discord. We're always chatting in there at discord.me/OWLN show. You can also find us on Twitter at HND Overwatch. Outside of that, we are also available on YouTube. You can either find us at Overwatch League Network or HND Overwatch on that front. Obviously, Spyder's still been doing, the shorts, which are fantastic. And outside of that, as we mentioned, we are streaming on YouTube. We are also streaming on our Twitch, which is at the OWLN show. I'm also streaming on my Kick channel at kick.com/drunk. So I've been streaming games and movies and the podcast over on there. So that has been a good time. Would have a good night. Good to see you back in here. I think Jess she should be home by now. Like, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Maybe she's still busy. But yeah. So outside of that, of course, you can reach all of our hosts on social media as well. So, Spyder, where can the listeners reach you there?
If you really want to drag me kicking and screaming back to Twitter, it's @_Spyder Gaming. But Discord's the best way to get a hold of me because I have that up all the time.
Absolutely. Ramses, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter @Ramses_GG. And like Totem said, you can find my music under the tag My Own Giant on Spotify or wherever else you like to listen to music.
Absolutely. And as for myself, you can find me on Twitter @SimplyDrunk. And, usually find me just randomly trolling people or talking about movies or whatnot. But anyways, that will do it for us here tonight on Heroes Never Die. Again, this has been episode number 255. Enjoy the Overwatch League matches. We'll see you in game, and we'll see you in the Discord. You guys take care and enjoy your week. We'll see you back in 2 weeks' time.